Hey everyone, this is Ankush Sharma and today we will see how we can implement the forEach function in JavaScript from the scratch. So for that, first we will see how we are using the forEach function in JavaScript. So let's suppose I will take one array here, one input array, right? And here we have the elements. So now we will apply the forEach function on the input array. So this is our forEach, and here we can pass the callback function into it, right? And now one thing to note, forEach won't return anything to us. This is just the generic method that is used to iterate the array, and whatever the callback we will pass to this forEach function, that will be called on each and every value of the input array. So this callback expect the current value of the array. So let's suppose value we are taking here and the index. One thing to note here, forEach accept one more argument. So we can pass one more parameter here, and that is this context. So let's suppose I have one object here, object with the property A and with the value 10, right? So I can pass this object in the second parameter, and whenever we are calling the callback function, right, and if I use this context under this callback function, so this will refer to this particular object. So let's use the second argument also here, and inside our callback function we will use this object and we will increment the property, the value of the property A with the input array values. So let's suppose this dot A. So here this is referring to the object, this object that we are passing, and here we are incrementing the value of A property with the values of input array, right? So now let's try to console object.a. Object.a. So the expected value of A should be like so 10 is already there, plus 3 13, plus 6 19, plus 7 26. So 26 should be the value of A, but let's try what we get here. But we are getting 10 only. So why it is happening? So this is little tricky here. So actually we are passing the arrow function here, right? So arrow function always take this context from the lexical scope. So though forEach is providing us one flexibility to pass this context in the second argument that we can use inside the callback function, but it won't work for the arrow functions. So to access the second argument inside the callback function, we need to convert our arrow function into the normal function. Let's try with this. And now let's try to run the code. So here we are getting the 26. So see, here we get the result. So here you see the difference between the arrow function and normal function also, and how this behaves inside the arrow function and normal function, right? So let's try to implement the forEach function from the scratch now. For that we need to write the forEach function inside the prototype of the array constructor, right? Array dot prototype and here we will implement some new forEach function. So let's suppose forEach2, and here we will provide one function, and this function expect the callback callback function and this argument, right? And cool. So if you see, forEach is very easy to implement, because what it do, it simply iterate the input array and call the callback function with the value and the index of the input array. So, and one more thing, so it is not returning anything. So we will simply write the iterator here. So let I 0, I is this dot length, and this refers to the array on which we are going to apply this forEach function, forEach2 function, right? Here we will increment the iterator pointer, And now what we will do, we will simply call the callback function with each value of the input array. So here we are calling the callback function with the value, and here we pass the index. So one thing to note, here we are using this argument also, right? So how we can bind this argument that we are passing from the second argument to this callback function? So for that we can use .call method that is provided by the JavaScript itself. So cool. So here the callback function will be called with this context, with the arguments, the value and the index, right? Cool. I think that's it. Now let's try to run our forEach 2 for this input array, and we will keep the same logic, and we will console the value also. So let's, input array will be same, for each 2 we are going to use. So callback function we are passing with the value and the index. Here we are using the object. So one thing to note, if we are calling this one, so this will mutate the value of a property, right? So let's try to comment this part for now, and remember the value is 26 if we are running this logic. And now let's try to run the same logic with forEach 2 function, and here I will remove and try to run again. So again here we are getting 26. So cool. So that means our logic is working fine, and it is accepting the this context also. So that's it guys. This is the implementation of forEach function from the scratch in JavaScript. Hope you learned something new today. That's it for now. See you soon. Bye.